Let me see. I want to stop recording when it's just the two of us on here. And I want to introduce again our speaker and moderator, Lion John Monahan from 22D, who is our multiple district 22 diabetes chair. We had a wonderful talk a couple of weeks ago, and this week, I think you're going to do some review of diabetes awareness, and then we're going to talk about diabetes service projects and fundraising. And then we also want to make sure that you participate as well. And if you have any questions for Lion John, in the beginning, you can put them in the chat, and towards the end, we'll open it up for questions or discussion. Okay, so Lion John, thank you so much for being here again. I don't have my notes from the last time when I did your introduction, so please forgive me. But he's a great lion. He's been here in the area, is it 10 years?
It's actually about 7 years.
7 years, okay.
In Delaware.
From New York. He's a school administrator in New York in the mid-Hudson Valley area. For how many years? For a long time.
Well, yeah, I was a teacher for about 17 and then an administrator for about 21. So, you know, and those are two entirely different worlds. And I still prefer the teaching world to that. But I also had a chance to teach in Long Island University in the graduate school for library information science, because I have that background too as well. So that was very good to be able to do that too. So some of my ideas I think are a little bit, you know, I kind of tend more to say, you know, not why are we here, but why aren't we doing more? Why, you know, I don't think, I really get turned off when I hear something. I don't think our club should be doing that. Well, that's okay, but this is why I think maybe we have a role in this. And some of the ideas today probably are going to be, you know, not as comforting to some people as to others. But I think that, you know, it's nice to engage people and to maybe get some reaction to them. And that's what we'll go for. Thanks, District Governor Ruth. It's been a pleasure working with you and District Governor Barb, and of course, the other members of the COG. I see some of my colleagues from the Council of Governors and the committee colleagues, and I want to thank them for their ongoing support too. This is my second year in this position as diabetes coordinator for the multiple district. And, you know, before I start, I just want to tell you that I do depend on my district diabetes coordinator colleagues, Lion Mike Robier and 22A, Lion Fran Rubino of 22B, Lion Corneli McElmon, who's here from 22C, Lion Nancy Nutter from 22D, and Lions Donna Jackman and Tom Harney from 22W. And they support their district clubs, and they provide leadership information, guidance, and when possible, programs on diabetes awareness. And they also provide guidance to the clubs in the area. So please continue to reach out to them, and also realize that they know it and we know it, because we've had some conversations that we have to seek new ways of spreading the message of diabetes awareness. Now, today in part 2, we're going to investigate some possible service projects and also some fundraisers in this area. And I think I'm one to really consider partnering in many different areas, because most of us in diabetes awareness, we're not medical people at all. And I'm certainly not. I honestly feel that a lot of times we have to reach out and try to bring the people together, because it only benefits Lions in serving the communities that we're responsible for. So today we're going to take a look at some ideas that I've put together. And I will tell you, I don't know if I'm sharing this, Ruth.
You are. I made you a co-host.
Oh, okay. So you can see the title. Today it's Diabetes Service.
Hold on for a second. Maybe because of the way I have the view, we can't see it. I think I had to change it before.
Okay, let me just,
Okay,
back
so
here.
try it again, please.
I will. And this is going to be a little better. Okay, that should work, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me just get this thing started. I'm going to be using PowerPoint again because I think we can discuss from it. And today we're talking about some possible projects and fundraisers to implement a key service area for Lions in 20 and 21. And, you know, I mentioned some people before, and I don't know if I thanked everybody for being here because it is it's special for me that you would take the time out to join for this. And thank you so much. Last week, when we presented on the 4th, we talked about diabetes as one of the 5 global causes of Lions Club International. And the reality of it is there's many, many Americans that continue to contract diabetes type 2 especially. 34.2 million Americans have diabetes, some with 1, some with 2. And diabetes is the 7th leading cause of death in the US, and alarmingly, the leading cause of blindness to adults aged 18 to 64, and actually beyond that. The interesting thing is, as Lions, we for years have considered vision as our primary cause. And yet I've very rarely seen vision. I've seen vision screenings done, but I haven't seen any aspects of diabetes as it relates to it considered. So I'm hoping that changes. A major area of concern too is that diabetes does cause heart disease and stroke. It causes kidney disease, lower limb amputation. I know 4 people now that have had that. Recent studies do confirm there's a tie-in with diabetes and cancer and also Alzheimer's disease. A major concern is the prediabetes condition, which we'll be talking about again later on and certainly throughout our year of service. You know, politicians will say things like, oh, we're all in this together. And, you know, you kind of like roll your eyes and say, sure. But when it comes to diabetes awareness, it does impact everybody. It impacts all groups, all races, all ages. Alarmingly, over 210,000 people under 20 years old have been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And even I heard on a podcast yesterday that 1/3 of the children from 8 to 13 years old are considered obese. And that's really something to hear. And it's lack of activity and also to some extent diet. As we look at the snapshot of diabetes in multiple district 22, we do see that the percentages of the population in Delaware, 11.9, Maryland reports at 12%, and DC is 8.4%, but those are actual diagnosed cases. We all believe that in Delaware, it's at least a percentage point higher. Maryland is about 12.5, 12.6, according to some studies. DC, I think, is higher also. But interestingly enough, DC was 2 years ago, 7.6%. So that has continued to grow. The medical costs are prohibitive for people diagnosed with diabetes. The medical costs are twice as much for those with diabetes than without. The risk of early death from diabetes, 60% higher than those without diabetes. And the other alarming statistic for me anyway is now with the pre-diabetes condition, they estimate 88 million people. Now that's up from 34.5 million estimated in the 2016 stats. And you might say, well, the country's bigger now. Yeah, but not proportionally that much. That's a significant difference. The types of diabetes, most of you are aware, so we will only spend a second on this again. Diabetes is a condition, of course, where your body causes blood glucose levels to rise higher, called hyperglycemia. Type 1 is an autoimmune disease that affects anywhere from 5% to 9 or 10% of people. A lot of times it's children, a lot of young people, and people as adults can develop type 1 diabetes. You really don't have much warning from what I understand. I have met several people. I remember as a young teacher, I mentioned this last time, you get the folder with the medical conditions of the kids that were in your class. And one year in 5 different periods, I had a total of 3 kids that were type 1 diabetics. And you just kind of like kept your eye on them. And occasionally somebody would just get up and head for the nurse, or get up and grab a brown bag and start eating. And it was kind of interesting to watch because how well controlled they were in knowing exactly what they had to do. And honestly, the more I've studied this, it really becomes about their survival. Type 2 is a little different. Your body makes insulin, but doesn't use it properly. I have type 2 for about 18 years now. The pancreas continues to work, but it eventually will overwork, kind of wear down, and then not be able to keep the blood glucose levels normal. You can treat it with life changes, oral medications, and sometimes insulin. I shouldn't really share this, but I have to tell you, I had a triple bypass, and I was always very athletic, and that was a shock to me. But when I went in for the bypass in Christiana, when I left, I had gone in taking insulin. And when I left, I was weaned off the insulin as a result of the surgery. And I have not been near insulin since, and I'm actually doing much better. Gestational diabetes occurs during pregnancy. It affects about 10% of the women who are delivering. The problem with that is that these women can develop type 2 later on in life, and their children have been known to develop type 2 also, just from the fact that during the pregnancy, gestational diabetes did appear. The prediabetes condition occurs when your blood sugar is higher than normal, but not high enough to be considered diabetes. Now, a higher percentage of men than women have this prediabetes condition. There are really no clear symptoms. You may have it and not even know it. Now, the American Diabetes Association does recommend that people over 45 ask their doctor about taking the fasting glucose test or even an A1C. Usually over 45, a doctor will recommend an A1C as part of the yearly check. Risk factors include overweight, family history, your race and ethnicity, as you could see in one of the earlier slides, blood pressure, definitely a history as a smoker has come into play. Last time we spoke, we did the diabetes risk test, and I chose the intermediate interactive model so that you could ask questions and almost participate actively. This is the one that is very popular. This one is the diabetes, let me just get this up. This one is the diabetes risk test, which we use Saturday at our diabetes awareness session. And how many of you have seen this before? The pre-diabetes risk test. Hopefully you're seeing it now. It asks how old you are. You have to score each. We gave 75 of these out the other day, which people just took with them. And because I would never ask anybody to do it in front of me. It's their business. It takes less than a minute. And the questions are, number one, how old are you? Well, I would be 60 plus. So I would put a number 3 there. Are you a man or a woman? Well, I'm a man, and that's a 1 point. 3 is, if you're a woman, have you been diagnosed with gestational diabetes? That would be a 0 for me. Do you have a mother, father, sister, or brother with diabetes? I didn't, so that's a 0. Have you ever been diagnosed with high blood pressure? Yes, for me, that would be another 1. Are you physically active? Truthfully, not where I should be, so I'd have to say no. That would be another point. I total my score up. I have 7. They advise that if you score 5 or higher, that you should contact your doctor about getting one of these tests. We had several people taking these tests while they were visiting the store. And a couple came out to me and said, thank you. They're going to talk to their doctor. So my feeling was that if we helped one person that day, I was very pleased that we were able to meet that person. As we continue, I'm just going to go back to the slides for a second, and if we get a question, I'll be happy to stop. One of the problems with being a president is sometimes you have to engage your club members in a discussion on diabetes as a club service activity. In clubs I've been in, there was a lot done in the New York club, but in Delaware, there wasn't much. It wasn't really part of the service plan. So now it is. And having the discussion, when I was president, I did talk about this, and I felt people were very uncomfortable with it. And the suggestion is to somehow facilitate a discussion about diabetes, to encourage club members to share their personal connections to the disease. Now, I know a lot of some of the older members just remember that aunt or uncle who had an amputation of some kind or, passed away early. And the explanation was, well, they had diabetes. Well, did you wonder why? Or no, that was never really entered into the conversations. People just didn't talk about it. Well, I have found something that I think is very good to help with these discussions. And one source is from the CDC. And I'm just going to show you this for a second, because I think that it will enlighten us as to ways to approach this conversation, if in fact you want to have that conversation. Maybe you don't. If you're seeing on the screen now, hopefully you're seeing Managing Diabetes, and
Yes.
it's a CDC website. And if Joan London, you've seen her trying to find a home for her mom or something like that. She's also a former newscaster. Well, she has participated in this series. And the interesting thing is it's got all sorts of resources. We have common mistakes, diabetes in your kidneys, infographics about diabetes, things like this, which can be printed out, distributed to your club. We also have some videos, if I can get to them. Let me just get back to this. And with these, let's see, here is it. I apologize. I lost this here for a second. As the risk test, here, let's try this. See if this comes up better. There's about 3 videos there that are about 2 minutes, and you can actually show one at a meeting or actually have people see them at home, which is more comfortable for some people. And here's one in particular, Diabetes Myths. And you talk about how people actually believe certain things about diabetes, and it's totally through a lack of knowledge. And it's called Separating Diabetes Fact from Fiction. She interviews a doctor here, and it's about a 2.5-minute video. It's pretty good. And I would recommend something like that as introducing it to the club to start the discussion on diabetes and your comfort with it. A lot of people still don't believe it's part of what our Lions Club should be doing. They talk about the different risk factors. It's almost like a one-stop shop, and it's good when you have a chance to take a look at this when we deliver the slides back to you and you're able to reassess some of the things we were talking about. So as we continue, I just wanted to make sure that we are aware of that. Awareness of prediabetes and how Lions may inform in the communities we serve. Well, I think a good thing to do is once a year, usually during November, but it doesn't have to be, invite a speaker in to talk about some aspect of diabetes. And it just brings the club up to date on what's unique and what's happening. A lot of these speakers come in and talk about exercise. They talk about healthy eating, healthy cooking for diabetes. District leaders should encourage this. I know the district governors are, and the zone chairs are now talking about having a diabetes program for their zone. Also consult your district diabetes awareness coordinator in each of the districts for information. We can help you get materials if you need them. Also become familiar with diabetes services available within your service area. And you can consider partnering with some of these as potential service project people or fundraisers. There's diabetes coalitions in Delaware, for example, and in Maryland. There's the ADA serving all the states. The Pharmacist Society, they're terrific. There's a Pharmacist Society in Delaware, Maryland, and also in DC, and they will come out and talk to a club. They'll also be willing to talk to individual Lions who are on medication.
Enough to fill a thermos.
Have particular questions about that.
Is it any good?
In terms of potential partners for Lions Club diabetes services projects, I've listed a few here. And as you can see, the local school district is certainly a first start. Lions have created gardens, worked with they used to call them home ec teachers. Now they're technology teachers on like food presentations, things like that. In several cases, I know of Lions clubs have helped start a garden. Leos were involved in it. Also in 22W, I know we support the school nurses, and we may do it in one other section, one other sub-district where you have the school nurse with a limited budget needs some help in providing for food substance for kids that maybe blood, they have a lowering of the blood level at a certain time. They need some snack, they forgot them. That has been helpful. Also, you can work with the school district administration and the teachers union and the PTO on a plan to offer a diabetes awareness evening, like a program of discovery, include the Lions in on that. We actually partnered with one school district in New York where we had it was called a Ultimania basketball game. And it was a Friday night, and the faculties of the elementary middle played the high school faculties. The kids were all excited. They brought their parents, and we were also able to have a win-win. The teachers union took half the receipts for the evening to fund their scholarships, and the Lions took it to fund Lion causes, one of which was sending a child to a diabetes camp. So that was a good thing. The local pharmacies are interested in partnering on screenings. The pharmacist or a registered nurse could certainly come, take a blood sample. And also the Lions could have the process of registering people. In these type of things, people are given the opportunity to make a donation to the Lions Club to fund upcoming screenings. You could also investigate opportunities for Lions partnering at the local library. Also, Diabetes Coalition, as I mentioned before, approaching diabetes management in the hospital programs to inquire about opportunities for Lions to maybe volunteer as a club and serve a certain day of the month. Also at the Cheers Center, they're looking for programs. We actually had a membership afternoon there one time, and that went over well
Funny.
because a number of the, we had an entree after that to partner with a dietitian to develop a Lions-sponsored program on healthy eating. So that was a positive. In terms of the Lions and the public library partnership, I just see this as such a natural. Over the past 20, if I say to you, you know, how has the library changed over the past 20 years? I mean, it's unbelievable how it's changed. It's now a community center. It's a cultural center of the library. Yeah, they still have books, but they have all sorts of resources. And of course, during this pandemic, we've all been using the libraries virtually. We've still been able to borrow. We've looked up through the databases, and it's been a tremendous resource. They are very interested in sponsoring a series of programs each month. And Lions clubs have access to certain partnerships. I mean, it certainly helps us in inviting new people to join our club when we are sponsoring, say, a local dietitian or a local optometrist to come and talk about either healthy eating or eye care, even a podiatrist and Lions coming together, offering a program at the library on various diabetes-related topics. I don't think it's far-fetched. Here's an interest. These are two interesting experiences. On the right, we have a Lion who is doing a vision screening. And this, I think, is the butterfly test, which they do. And a number of our clubs will come with a spot machine and then test their eyes. We use the school for that. We have a vision screening. We also have vision screenings in the evening with adults. And I wonder how often we have diabetes-related materials that we have available for these people as their eyes are screened to then have some information on how to combat prediabetes. On the left, this was a Lion who decided he was really concerned about the opioid addiction impacting Sussex County. So we decided in our club that we were going to have an opioid awareness evening. This was March of 2018. And what he did was he got the local politicians. He had people who work with drug treatment centers. We had the police involved because they certainly are involved. And we had all sorts of state officials there who are running the state programs. There was a very poor turnout that evening, but the information gathered there certainly helped so many people in so many ways beyond that evening. And I could see us doing a day of an evening of discovery on diabetes awareness in this way, having a podiatrist, having an optometrist, having Lions, having politicians there, so that the message is getting out and going across a more extensive series of audiences. Another fundraiser, not only for the club, but for a great cause, is the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. There are walks all over the place. This was a walk in New York State a number of years ago. I think it was 2010, 2011. And what we did was we all pledged a certain amount. We also had a number of Lions supporters there. We did this for about, I started it. We actually, the club continued it and still does it. And the best part about it is
Well,
that
I'm on at it, listening to a Zoom meeting.
we still are able to
Yeah.
send a couple of children to camp and also send a check, a significant check, to the JEDRF Walk for the Cure. If you've done one of these walks, you know that you register as a team or as an individual, and then you pledge a certain amount. And what we did is we pledged a certain amount, but we collected more, and the balance went to the club to continue our work in diabetes awareness and sight causes. I often say to groups, you know, sometimes we limit ourselves, and we really shouldn't. And you shouldn't limit your sights when exploring any kind of fundraising opportunity. Now, one of the things we talked about was a walk. but a fundraising walk. And we would call it, in my case, the Lord Baltimore Lions Club Community Walk for Sight and Diabetes. We would have members, we would have family, we would have community supporters and businesses, maybe donating small portions as patrons. And we would limit it just to the service area. And this is something we're going to be thinking about in the future to do. It would be a nice fundraiser, but it would certainly help in our fundraising efforts to support diabetes causes. Has anybody ever heard of Mingo? There's everybody knows bingo, but this is Mingo, and it's bingo with music. And we did try a Mingo event for another group I'm with, not the Lions, and it was a wonderful, fun afternoon. People paid about $15 to come into the door. They were given cards, like bingo cards. There's a disc jockey. The disc jockey plays songs. People are asked to identify what the song is. And then, of course, if the song title is on your Mingo card, you work your way towards Mingo. There are small, modest prizes that it's below the gambling area where you could need a license. And it's just a lot of fun, and it's wonderful for the Lions and also for the group that participated. We just completed a yard sale in our club, and this goes to Lions charities. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to consider doing an annual yard sale, maybe for diabetes camp or diabetes causes in a club. It may be something that people might want to consider. I'm not sure if I have questions here. My screen is partially blocked, but if I do, I'll get to it in a second. This is one I wanted to show you. I'm sorry?
So I think you're good for now. You can keep going. I don't have anything right now.
Okay, good. This looks like a 5K run, and it is a 5K run. And this was a tremendous and is a tremendous fundraiser. It is also a tremendous amount of work. It would require many, many Lions joining together and working for months on preparing this. The story of this race is 28 years old. It started 28 years, obviously, ago, and it was this year, it was postponed due to COVID-19 for the only time in the 28-year history. This was the Warwick Lions Club, and we came up with this idea. There was a fledgling race which wasn't going anywhere, and it only had about 75 people, and they were looking for somebody to run it. So a couple of Lions who ran in races said, we'd like to take that on. So they did. And after a couple of years, we had a couple of hundred people running it. And then we saw a need for Lions Quest in the club. And in order to pay for the Lions Quest program in 5 schools, we had to fork up some money. The grants, and I know Lion Martin's here, the grants were just not that available over 20 years ago. They were there, but they were really tight. So what we did is we ended up making this an annual fundraiser for the Lions Quest program. After about 4 or 5 years, the training and the implementation was complete. And the district, the Lions Club, was able to then continue to use this race and use it for causes. And this was one of the areas of funding for our diabetes donations every year. This race, just so you know, is expensive. People will, if I had to do one this year, I would hire somebody to do it. I would bring a group in, preferably a nonprofit group, that are in here for the fundraising. They take their expenses, and then we split, evidently, the balance. Whereas this race would produce for our club $14,000, $15,000 a year, sometimes more. The amount of work that it would entail starting it now would be just prohibitive. The success of the race was largely to the fact that it was held annually on Labor Day. It was a day when nothing else was planned. So it has been the traditional Lions Club race. The person who started it passed away, and they then named it after her, but it is still the Lions 5K and Family Fun Run. So it's just, and it's in times now of, shortages in terms of fundraising. This is the signature fundraiser for this club, and other clubs have done it as well. Now, in 22D, how do we continue the advocacy and service beyond November 2020, which is Diabetes Awareness Month? How do we promote our plans? Well, I honestly think one of the best ways of doing it is to partner with the pharmacy, as I mentioned before, or a local medical practice to maybe come up with a screening event for, say, 2021, or maybe the fall of 2021, planned so much in advance for the ensuing November, especially with the shutdowns that we're experiencing. I think if you do this, you really should consider as a club assigning a club lion as Club Diabetes Information Chair. This would be very helpful, I know, to the diabetes coordinators in each sub-district. And I think it's something that's eminently doable. We would handle, as Lions would handle in the club, the scheduling, and of course, the medical people would handle the medical aspects of it. How do Lions locate responsible sources of information? Please be aware of all of these sources. I mentioned in the past that the ADA is a tremendous source of information. We mentioned before the CDC, the International and the World Diabetes Foundation. They have good resources too, but I think my first choice is the CDC and the American Diabetes Association. Final thoughts on service projects and fundraising. First of all, I think we have to be aware and promote that together we are greater than diabetes. Although the numbers are going up, we have to band together, reach out beyond our Lions clubs and our Lions networks, partner with other groups to bring this message out there. And we as Lions, we're information people, we'll make things happen, but we also have to partner with other groups. And quite frankly, we then expand our service base, and there's a good possibility, and we've seen it already, of new members coming from other areas and becoming Lions. The additional service projects and resources, the plans from LCI, some of you have taken a look at this already, but if we just pull it up for a second, this is the Lions Fight Diabetes page. Let me just go to it here and post it for a minute. And it should be going down. Are you seeing diabetes facts? We have a plan.
Yes.
Okay. Down here are the diabetes project ideas. I've covered some of them and I have experience with them, but of course, this is a nice little template for year-round diabetes awareness. And one of the things that we have to stress too is it's not just, it's November, what are we doing for diabetes awareness? It's every month of the year. It is a very, severe disease. Those of you that work with the LoverNet patients know you've talked with people losing their sight, people who have lost just about all their sight and their stories. And I just feel that anything we can do to stem this tide as Lions, it's our role to do it. And volunteering and promoting the message, I think, is a significant way we can help. And we can do things through the schools, the public libraries, the neighboring health organizations, and so many other ways. And I really would appreciate it if you take a look closely at this when you have a chance and see if there's anything that your club and some of the members may be especially interested in pursuing as we move throughout the service year. I think I'm just about finished with what I wanted to talk about, and hopefully we'll be able to hear from other people. This is just a picture of what our club did on Saturday. We had planned not a physical activity, but before the MD22 came up with the challenge of a virtual race, a virtual activity, we had planned to meet as a club and provide diabetes awareness and information area at our busiest shopping center. And we had all sorts of information there. We had 2 lions on duty at a time. The lion to the right is a registered nurse, and she was very helpful. We had 96 people visiting the table, and 78 or 79 pieces of material went out from the table. And it was all sorts of information. A lot of people took cooking and exercise and food pamphlets. So a lot of the people were battling type 2 diabetes. But as I said before, we discovered, or may have discovered, 2 potential type 2 diabetics who had definitely prediabetes. I don't know how many, I know a bunch of, upwards of 70 people took the prediabetes risk test that we had available for them. So hopefully if we've helped a couple of people, we're very happy about that. And I'm grateful to all of you for, listening to this. And I appreciate if you have any questions or if there's anything I can add to anything that we covered here. Anybody?
Lion John, first, thank you so much. We appreciate the presentation. It was great, just like the last time.
Thank you.
And if anybody has any questions or would like to discuss their diabetes project or their service that they did over the weekend or they've done in the past or plan on doing, please unmute yourself and speak up. And I'm going to get it started by talking to Lion Cornelli. She already knew I was going to choose her. Lion Cornelli, can you tell us just a little bit about the service project your club put on this past Saturday?
Okay. The Washington Midtown Lions Club, in collaboration with the African American Health Program, did a physical activity, but it was sort of a combination where you had an education component from the African American group. Then we had a physical activity for about 20 minutes, and we circulated among the Lions as well as the booth that the African American Health Program had to learn about the risk factors. And I must say, we had at least 2 Lions who registered with the African American group for pre-diabetes check because of the information they gathered. And one of the things that really resonated with me for it was the presenter from the African American group. He was a medical doctor, and he talked about the body, and it's a whole system that would be affected when when the person is diabetic. And what he said is that the body is designed to move. I heard Lion John say that at one point he was an athlete and he moved, but now he's not doing it in adequate amounts of time, period, whatever. So it's critical to move. Then the doctor talked about food consumption practices. And he gave a good example about a plant-based diet is the best one, not processed food, but also portion control. And then again, he spoke about physical activity as fun. And this is what we are looking to do when we serve the different populations that we have in our districts. And the good thing about the activity as well, we had a few clubs that joined us. We had Rockville, Leisure World, and we had Mount Rainier, or Mount Rainier, whichever one is the right pronunciation. So it was quite a success in our view. We had about 40 persons, and there was modeling of a nutritious snack for a diabetic. So that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you. Yeah, I was there. It was a great event, and I did appreciate the healthy snacks, because I do think sometimes when we have Lions events, I'm looking at the snacks, I'm like, I really shouldn't be eating it. I do, but I think that's something we need to think about too. So thank you so much, Lion Cornelli. So
Governor Ruth.
Lion John,
Governor Ruth,
somebody had a, yes,
PID Joe.
yes.
John, are you aware of our Lions Camp Merrick in 22C?
Yes, yes, I am.
You're aware of
and-
the diabetic camp that goes on there? And that when you scroll on the call, if you go right now to LCIF homepage, go to the LCIF homepage, scroll down through the additional areas or causes of service. And when you get to diabetes, there's a picture of our Lions Camp Merrick with the kids in session. And that camp is always in need of support.
Well, thank you very much, Joe. The thing is, we also have supported Camp Merrick. I know some of our, the reports I've read, we definitely have supported them. We also have Camp Possibilities, which is in B and right near 22D. So we have supported them as well. The work is just incredible that's done there at Merrick. I have seen a speaker from Camp Merrick when I was visiting the Dover Lions Club on a visit. So excellent program. Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
Well, I got to tell you a funny story. LCIF has approved several grants to Camp Merrick. And I've been a small part of that to get that done. But the latest grant, I think, helped redo their septic system down there. I understand they renamed part of the camp of the over top of the septic system after me. Now, how's that for a trip? It's a Gaffigan Glen, it's called. Do not laugh, I'm taking names. See, Larry Shelton's from suburban. He
Honor.
knows. Who can say that?
That's funny.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Lion Ruth.
Yes.
Hi, I was going to share, we did a joint event on Saturday as well. The College Park Lions and the University Park Lions met up at Lake Artemisia, which is a wonderful natural habitat lake in Berwyn Heights near Greenbelt, Maryland. And there were about, I think there was 10 of us from the two clubs. We wore our Yellow Lions shirts, and we had ages ranging from 1 year old to 81 years old participating in the walk. And we had two furry friends come as well, and they got along pretty well with each other. So the weather was gorgeous, and it was, just so nice to be outside and see a couple of the leaves that were still left on the trees. And we saw a hawk and deer and turtles and all kinds of cool things. So we just really enjoyed seeing each other's faces off of the Zoom screen. We all wore our masks, even though we were outside, and had a great time. We walked about 2 miles. So just wanted to share. And we posted our pictures all on Facebook, and we did use your hashtag that you asked us to.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm glad you guys went out there. I used to live in the Adelphi area. My babysitter was in Berwyn Heights. And so I used to stop by Lake Artemisia all the time. So I missed that area. So yes. So good. Sound like it was a good event. So, is there anybody else who'd like to share about an event that you've had or an upcoming event? District Governor Barbara, did you want to share about an event you're having upcoming? I'll put you on the spot and you muted. You have to unmute yourself.
Well, the Freedom District Lions Club had produced signs and they had displayed them in the neighborhood about diabetes, about the need of getting tested. And then they had, some of the members had walked various groups. And I know that we did have groups that had walked this so far, and I haven't heard if there will be some more for the remainder of the month. So outside that, I'm sorry, I didn't hear of anything else that was being conducted in our district.
Oh, no, that sounds good. Okay, is there anybody else? Any other comments?
I'm Virginia Bickford from Leisure World Lions Club.
I
And
like Virginia.
we're doing 2 programs. One I did last Wednesday. We sponsor a vision support group, and I spoke to the vision support group about the complications of diabetes and the ways in which you can help to prevent further eye damage by taking care of the ABCs of diabetes. And then actually this evening at 6 o'clock, right after this program, is our regular Lions Club meeting. And we're having a dietitian speak about diabetes at that meeting. So we have 2
Awesome.
things going.
That's awesome.
No, that's really utilizing, you know, the way I thinking beyond what we traditionally have done by incorporating these different aspects about diabetes awareness and tying it in. If you have somebody talking about exercise, they should bring in the aspects about how it's needed to, you know, combat the onset of possible diabetes type 2. I mean, it just makes sense. And I just think, you know, basically by and large, are there some possibilities with some of the things I was mentioning here tonight? Does anybody have any other thoughts on that? Some of the ideas.
This is Lion Tommy from Palisades, Georgetown Lions Club.
Hi,
And-
Lion Tommy.
Hello,
Hi.
Tommy.
How are you? And I have to say that thanks to your first seminar, you gave me some ideas on what I thought my presentation would be on Saturday and last Saturday. And I thought, why not have a conversation just like we're having now in the neighborhood on Zoom? And I was lucky enough to get the interest of a young lady actually from the Delaware district who dropped in. She's an inspirational speaker, lecturer, and pastor. And I used as our so-called reference, believe it or not, Betty Crocker's diabetes cookbook. Not, yes, because it looks like food is really a key, along with exercise, and also your mental state, how people
Yes.
feel about the counting of the carbohydrates, and it's really a balancing act. And one of the things that we out was, at first it may be a struggle, this is from the book, when others are planning a normal holiday dinner, and how people physically and emotionally think about food. And so for an hour, we took apart the the lifestyle. We didn't want to call it diet because it's not a diet. It's your lifestyle choices and how you can have a better frame of mind in deciding that, yes, you will fight a diabetes. And if your diabetes is not one, of course, which is different. We talked about the 3 types, the gestational, which only women would know about, of course, the childhood, type 1, and then they're seeing childhood in type 2 as well. So it is pervasive. And in fact, the book is written by, of course, I guess the Betty Crocker dietitians, but with comment by Richard Bergenstahl, MD, and Diane Reeder, RD. And it's their conclusion, and we're all talking about COVID. Everything is COVID, of course, that is to be expected. But the book actually goes there to say that diabetes is indeed epidemic. Diabetes has increased because diets high in fat and calories and a lack of exercise have led to obesity, a major risk factor for diabetes. And it concludes that it is estimated that 300 million people with diabetes worldwide by the year of 2025 will have it. So it was a delightful talk using the book, talking about different ways you can change your lifestyle through food. And I have to say, this is something that I might do ongoing, not just because it's Diabetes Month or Diabetes Day, but it's a lifetime change. It's a lifestyle change. And my guest, as I said, inspirational leader, pastor, she was wonderful in describing how people can change their minds and move forward in a positive way. So I'm sorry I didn't mean to be this long-winded, but you can tell that the passion came out on our Saturday Zoom.
It sounds like it is on Chair Tommy. Thank you so much. I appreciate the comments.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I'm seeing we're like an hour in. We don't want to keep the meetings too long, but if there's anybody else who has anything they'd like to talk about or have any questions.
One thing quick, I'd like to say something. Vicki
Yes.
from Freedom District Lions Club in 22W. One of the things that we did in our Lions Club was to have a young person from Camp Merrick come and speak to the club about her attending Camp Merrick and what she got out of, so to speak, her time at Camp Merrick. It was very, very interesting to have a young person come to the club and talk about her diabetes and attending Camp Merrick. So it was very interesting. She was very good.
Good. So that's awesome. I've been down to the camp to listen to some of the campers, and they're pretty inspirational. I mean, you really feel
They are.
so, yeah.
And the staff is very dedicated.
Yes. And how old was this speaker?
10 years old, 10.
Wow.
I was surprised she would even get up in front of a group and speak, but she didn't. She did very well.
That's awesome. That's a good project. It really is, to have a speaker, one of the children, to come and talk to your club. So great. Thank you for sharing that. Oh. Okay, so
Can I say something?
yeah, sure.
This is just to piggyback on Lion John's presentation in terms of clubs probably thinking of getting on board to do the diabetes. It's to look at it in an integrated way where you can have integrated projects, because we have the 5 focused areas. So if you were to integrate the pediatric cancer, the humanitarian causes, vision, and everything, it helps to probably take away that strain of having compartments or segments for different projects. And if you were to integrate those things, it will make the diabetes project become sort of, for the want of a better word, institutionalized. And so if you think of it in that way, and you have the different target groups, if you're looking at young children, You know, you can probably go to the schools or aftercare centers, sports groups, whatever. But in most instances, especially if you have young children who are obese, I think that is the generation we need to look at because they are our future. And if we are looking at our future, we need to start with the children. The adults, they are a little challenging because they have options or they know their rights and they tend to put off what they need to do until they get to recognizing, yes, I'm at risk of diabetes, or yes, I have diabetes and this is what I want to do in relation to behavior change. But again, the best way to go is to look for the young children. And because you have those issues with pediatric cancer, obesity or overweight, all those things, an integrated project will do wonders for us. That's my contribution to today's presentation.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you. So Lion John, do you have any closing comments?
Well, I felt really good at the end of the first presentation with the comments that were delivered by people. I felt it enriched it. I also feel today that, you know, some of the things we're trying to do here is very positive. And I think everybody's made a very good contribution. Even the international director. I can't forget that, Joe. That was a great story.
Oh, great. It's going to be all over the world now.
Well, we're definitely recording, so yeah, it will.
Yeah, that's true.
Governor Root, by the way, John, outstanding, just A+ presentation, two in a row. I really appreciate it. But for your information, Suburban's going to have a program in December, and we can share the Zoom meeting when it comes out from a doctor who works on diabetes up at Hopkins. John
awesome.
Daniel's arranging it for us. So we will share that link. Ruth, we can send it to you and a few others to be shared with anyone else. That's going to be our third Thursday in December meeting. Is that
Yes,
right, Larry?
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. Yes, if you send the information, then I'll send it to everyone who participated.
Yeah, we're good. We're looking to do something in the spring in Suburban based on the planning we're doing. So stay tuned.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So, and I apologize, PID Joe, that I did not introduce you at the beginning of the meeting, but I'm interested, you know.
It really hurt my feelings. You can tell how sensitive I am.
But thank you for attending and thank you everybody for showing up today. Thank you for participating in it and in the meeting. And just thank you again for being there. I just really appreciate it. So, and within a few days, you should receive a copy of this recording and of Lion John's presentation, which was excellent, a PowerPoint presentation. Thank you again, Lion John, for all your hard work. Really appreciate it. And I just thank everybody for all you did, all your support. But Lion John, really have to just say thank you and just a great job all around.
Thank you very much,
Thank
everybody.
you, John.
District Governor Ruth, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Lion.
Thank you very
Best
much.
wishes.
Yes. So thank you, everybody. This concludes our meeting. Thank you so much for showing up. And, you know, hopefully this will inspire you to have, if your club hasn't had any, you know, service projects, now you have some things that I have some good ideas now, and they're not that hard. So thank you.
Good.
All right. So bye, everybody. Take
Good night,
care
all.
of yourselves.
Thank you.
for hosting.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.